Hello guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. It's me, Big Mike, and happy Public Domain Day, fam. Public Domain Day is a very important day on the calendar for me, and it's one of my personal favorite holidays. And in this video, I'm going to discuss what Public Domain Day is, why it's so important, some of my picks for the most important works entering the public domain this year, and some of my recommended events and things to check out in celebration of Public Domain Day. Now, let me apologize ahead of time. I have what perhaps may be a very bad sinus infection or something else going on, so my voice sounds a bit weird. That's why. Also, as a result, this video is a bit less formal than what I originally intended, so just kind of bear that in mind. By this point in the video, you've already heard me use the term public domain numerous times. For those who don't know what this term means, Stanford Law states the term public domain refers to creative materials that are not protected by intellectual property laws, such as copyright, trademark, or patent laws. The public owns these works, not an individual, author, or artist. Usually this happens due to a lapse of time. The exact amount of time varies from country to country. That's why the vast majority of public domain works are very old. However, sometimes when an author or an artist creates something, they may choose to release it into the public domain. So what exactly is Public Domain Day? Well, Public Domain Day is an observance of when copyrights expire and works enter the public domain. This legal transition of copyright works into the public domain usually happens every year on January the 1st based on the individual copyright laws of each country. So this is the day that works become liberated and are turned over to the people, works like Steamboat Willie, Sherlock Holmes, and countless other important cultural artifacts. So every year it's a celebration of not just the public domain, but those new additions to it. The earliest known observation of this holiday dates from 2004. It was at first an informal observation and was done by Wallace MacLean, a Canadian public domain activist. Things really took off in 2011 when the Open Knowledge Foundation launched the Public Domain Review, a web-based review of works which have entered the public domain. At the present, it's observed all over the world. There have been celebrations of Public Domain Day in years past from countries as diverse as Indonesia and Japan, to many places in Europe like Germany and France, the UK, and of course the United States. And here is why Public Domain Day is so important. Public Domain Day commemorates the expiration of copyright restrictions, allowing for the free use and adaptation and reproduction of creative works. And as a result, it also celebrates the creative and cultural wealth of humanity. And because these works are now free of any type of copyright protection, it encourages the free exchange of ideas. It encourages the exploration and the building upon of the collective wealth of human creativity. It's also very important because of the lapse of copyright. That means that we can now preserve and digitize these cultural items, so that future generations can learn from them. And this is very key. A very unsettling fact is that we have lost over 70% of all of the films made during the silent film era. And this was a milestone era in our species' creative endeavors. This was a milestone era in our culture. And these films weren't lost because they were misplaced. No, these films were lost because a lot of them were left to rot in their canisters. Now granted, they were not preserved on the best material that would degrade quickly over time, but even though we had these films in our possession, we were unable to preserve them because of copyright restrictions. So a huge chunk of our culture is lost now because of this. And so a Public Domain Day is a celebration of the fact that we can now legally preserve these cultural artifacts. And lastly, Public Domain Day is important because it enriches the cultural and innovation landscape by allowing people to build on the ideas of the past. And I cannot stress this part enough. Now, I know it's become a meme in previous years. Oh, this thing is becoming public domain, so there's going to be a horrible horror movie version made of it, or there's going to be an adult film made from it. And yeah, that does happen, and some of those things can be quite interesting. But what's really important here is that because these things are in the public domain, you can now engage with them freely and intellectually. I tell people all the time, if you want to have a conversation with a famous dead person, you can still do that. I mean, you can't, talk to them like you would talk to your friend, but you can engage with their work. You can engage with their literature, their film, their art. You can write critiques of it. You can write interpretations of it. You can write arguments against them or for them. All of these things are free to you to do if they're in the public domain. So Public Domain Day, at least for me, is a very important milestone in the year because of this fact. I can now freely interact with this work. And now here are some of my picks for some of the more significant works entering the public domain. My first pick is Agnes Smedley's Daughter of Earth. Now, Agnes was a very early women's rights activist. She was also very much influential, and she took a part in helping the Indian move for independence and also the communist revolution in China. She was from a very poor working class coal miner family, and so she had firsthand experience with the struggles of the working class. Daughter of Earth is a novel, but it has been said that despite being a novel, a great deal of truth about her life is contained in that book. Next up is Mahatma Gandhi's The Story of My Experiments with Truth. And My Experiments with Truth is Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography covering his early childhood up until the year of 1920. Now on to some films. And Hallelujah, I think, is going to be another big one and a very important one because Hallelujah is one of the first films with an all African American cast produced by a major studio. Next, I'm picking Blackmail, Alfred Hitchcock's first sound film and the first British sound film. So now let's talk about some cartoons. We're going to get the sound versions of Mickey Mouse cartoons, the Gallopin' Gaucho, Plain Crazy, the 1929 cartoons including The Carnival Kid, in which Mickey speaks his first words, the first Silly Sympathy cartoons, including The Skeleton Dance. And this is probably the biggest one this year as far as cartoons go, Popeye the Sailor Man. And this last one, I really don't know anything about it, but I've seen a lot of my friends reply with excitement of this when I mentioned that, this is among the list of items that will be released in Public Domain Day. And that's The Maltese Falcon, the novel, not the movie. Now here are some things that you can do to celebrate Public Domain Day. Now this is one I really enjoy doing, and so every year I like to check out Duke University Law's Center for the Study of the Public Domain's annual article on Public Domain Day. And so it'll release a great list of things that are entering the public domain, but also talk about a lot of issues surrounding it and why they're so important. The significance, for example, the struggle of many African American actors and singers, the things they had to face in their eras in the 1920s, or why preservation is so important. These are many key issues that are often discussed, but there are many other things there as well. Next, there's a YouTuber, and I think his name is pronounced Shives. And if I'm mispronouncing that name, please forgive me. But every year he releases a phenomenal video on Public Domain Day discussing what's entering it for that year, what's becoming public domain, and why it's so important. And I always like to check his video out, and I would highly recommend you check his video out too. I'll leave a link to his channel down below. Now, I haven't done these next two, but I do plan to do them for the first time this year. Now, and these next two aren't necessarily happening on Public Domain Day, but they will be taking place in January. And first is the Internet Archive celebration, and this is happening on January 24th, and this includes a short film contest in which creators are going to make short films no longer than 3 minutes, if I remember correctly, and their films are going to be based on works that have entered the public domain, either this year or in a previous year. And lastly is the Public Domain Game Jam. Now this is going to be held on itch.io, and And this is going to be a game jam in which creators are going to create games based on public domain titles. And they'll have a short time to make such a game. And fam, let me tell you what, I never expected my love of indie games and the public domain to segue or to intersect. But here we are, fam, and I'm so for it. And I will leave a link below to the game jam. And that's really it. So happy Public Domain Day. Go out there and celebrate these great works. I hope you really do enjoy it. And this hasn't been the video I actually wanted to make. I really wanted to do a much more formal video on this subject. Unfortunately, my health has been in really horrible condition the past couple of weeks. And this week it got really bad. So I wasn't able to get the video out that I wanted to do. But I've been wanting to do a Public Domain Day video since 2023. And I haven't had the opportunity to. And I was going to be damned if I was going to let this opportunity pass me up again. So for better or for worse, this is my celebration of Public Domain Day. Hopefully next year will be better, because it's something I am very passionate about. I'm very passionate about this because, in addition to the reasons I mentioned before, I'm a huge supporter of copyright reform. I'm a supporter of the Public Domain Manifesto. I believe public domain should be the rule and copyright should be the exception. But that's my opinion. Feel free to disagree. Disagree with me down in the comments. Let me know what you think. But I am ready to die on this hill, fam. So it is what it is. But do you know any celebrations that I missed? Or any works that are entering the public domain that you're very interested in that I didn't cover here? If so, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking for more public domain works to look into. And with that, we'll call the video proper here. A special thanks to Fran, who does a wonderful job of doing my art. A special thanks to all of my friends on Twitter. I wouldn't be here without you all. And a special thanks to all of you for watching this video. Please like this video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. And if you like my videos, please subscribe and turn your notifications on. Until next time, fam, remember, just be yourself and you'll be awesome. In a world of bland conformity that's trying to mold you to be something you're not, have the courage to be yourself, to stand up for who you are and what you believe in. Be true to yourself. And with that, I'll see you lovely guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls at some point in time in the future. Peace out!